Penny's Big Breakaway is a game I didn't think I'd like as much as I do. It was shown off in a bunch of Nintendo Directs, and I was always interested in it due to it being developed by the same people who made Sonic Mania, but beyond that, the gameplay actually looked relatively uninteresting to me, besides the fact that you can like swing on your yo-yo in midair, and the character design just does not do it for me at all. It still doesn't do it for me now, but despite that, I think this is one of the best 3D platformers ever made. Not only because it's a really good game, but because it tackles 3D platformers in a way no other 3D platformer I've played has done before, as it perfectly blends the more slow-paced exploration power-up based gameplay of a 3D Mario game while seamlessly adding speed options baked directly into the level design and of course the character's moveset. But it only works if it's in conjunction with each other, because Penny on her own is a very slow character, probably the slowest 3D platformer character I've ever used, which makes her platforming very precise, but not the high-speed fun and movement that I'm typically looking for in a 3D platformer. Luckily, that changes completely with the use of her yo-yo. It's used as just a basic projectile attack that can hit things by either being thrown out or spun around you, but the real use of the yo-yo comes in with its aerial abilities. Every time you jump, you're able to do a double jump that also acts as like an attack around you because you spin your yo-yo, as well as being able to do a horizontal dash and one swing off your yo-yo. The dash and the swing in particular carry a lot of momentum, and that's how you're able to traverse at higher speeds as Penny. You almost never want to be touching the ground if you're playing this game well. On top of that, she has a rolling ability that can be used in conjunction with the level design, which has a lot of slopes at certain points, in order to gain a ton of speed and the ability to continue carrying your momentum afterwards by using the aerial yo-yo dash and yo-yo swing in order to continue your momentum. So you can go really fast with the yo-yo, but inherently Penny is a slow-paced character, which comes in handy when you're doing more precise platforming or solving puzzles in areas of the level that aren't designed to be zipped through in a moment's notice by a casual player, which creates this organic and interesting dynamic where sometimes you're playing it as a more precision 3D platformer, kind of like Super Mario 3D World, and at other times it feels like you're playing a classic 2D Sonic game in 3D with the rolling momentum. Kind of similar to how a 3D Sonic game will handle it, where there's more platforming heavy segments interspliced with boost to win quick step segments. Except in Penny's Big Breakaway, these two kind of gameplays are a lot more organic, flow better into each other, and have more interesting level design, as you may be able to tell with the footage on screen. So because the level design dictates the speed at which you play, more so than the moveset, you are able to have a high-speed platformer that doesn't go by so fast that you don't end up platforming. And this blend of high-speed movement and precision platforming in 3D platformers has always been a really tough balance to get right, and I don't think any 3D platformer has balanced it as well as Penny's Big Breakaway. We have Sonic Lost World, where you literally have a run button so you can go slow or go fast, but it felt like the two modes of playing really didn't interact that well with each other. It felt like the game was made to be played slowly, but then they just added a run button because they remembered it was a Sonic game. Super Mario 3D World comes pretty close with being able to like roll down hills and do some more advanced maneuvers, but again, it's more on the slow side. And the best game to do this recently was actually a 2D platformer I played last year called Pizza Tower, where you can play slow and methodical and still beat the game and play it casually and have a good time, but the level is designed in a way where you can go really fast and you are rewarded through gaining higher ranks for finishing the stage more quickly with more points, making it possible for a casual player and a hardcore player to have fun in the game without the two gameplay styles conflicting with each other, which is how I feel about Penny's Big Breakaway. You can beat every level by just going slow, not rolling down hills, and playing in a more methodical way, and are even in some ways rewarded for doing that with all of the hidden collectibles and tasks you have to do throughout the stage in order to 100% it, but it's also designed in a way where you can rip through everything and play in a high-speed style. And because of those collectibles and certain puzzles that you have to do, that you have to slow down in order to find or complete, it doesn't make any playstyle superior over the other, and it also helps the game from not getting too stale, as you are not always just running at the fastest pace you can, or doing precision platforming, or doing puzzle solving, but having a good amount of each, seamlessly transitioning from one to the other for just the right amount of time until before you know it, the level is over. But even with that in mind, there's ways to get through the slow parts of the levels by going fast, or going through the fast part of the level slow if you wanted to for whatever reason. And that level of simple player expression through just choosing how you want to control the character was designed really well in this game, and the level design accommodates that idea completely of having these slow and more fast-paced segments back to back flowing in an organic way Breakaway, which isn't really the MO for any Sonic game, Mario game, or really any other 3D platformer that I've played prior to this game. The closest comparison I can give is to Kirby and the Forgotten Land, as the level design and aesthetics are pretty similar, and a lot of Penny's basic moves are very similar to the power-ups you commonly get in Kirby Forgotten Land, like having a ranged attack like a sword or a flamethrower in Kirby, or a spin attack like the tornado move in Kirby. Hell, the pepper power-up even emulates the wheelie power-up from Kirby Superstar Saga, and a lot of these recurring power-ups that show up in Penny's Big Breakaway are actually very similar to how the mouthful mode transformations work from Kirby and the Forgotten Land, where they are at a specific point in the level, you have to do something with that power-up in the level to move forward, and then you end up moving forward. So not only do you have this fast-paced gameplay intersplicing with a slower-paced gameplay, but it also can transition into a more unique set piece where you either have to fly up high and slowly descend with the cake power-up, or race your way through an obstacle course with the pepper power-up, or break a bunch of stuff with the burger power-up. All of this combines into a really fast-paced but precise 3D platformer with a bit of puzzle elements, and it's just a lot of fun once you get the hang of it. When I first started playing it yesterday, I kind of didn't like it for the first few levels because I didn't really get how the movement exactly worked, but once you figure out that in midair you can do a dash, a swing, and a double jump before having a chance to land either normally or into a wheelie, it becomes really fun to mess around with the momentum and level design. Not to mention the fact that Penny has a spin dash equivalent from Sonic in the game, where if you're at a complete standstill, you can charge up your yo-yo and go flying, meaning that whenever you slow down or stop completely in order to do a platforming segment that requires more precision, you can instantly go back into that high speed mode, providing that you can take advantage of the level design in front of you in order to maintain that speed, which is something I've never really seen in a 3D platformer. It really reminds me of classic Sonic, but way more fun and in a 3D environment, which is not surprising considering that this game was literally made by the same team that created Sonic Mania, which up until now has basically been the king of momentum platforming. But I honestly think this game has stolen that title from it, as well as Rolling Rascal, which is a Kickstarter game in development that also has 3D momentum rolling mechanics. It doesn't play the same as Penny's Big Breakaway because it's like way more fast-paced and focused on speed, but it's still really fun, and I cannot wait for that game to come out. So if you want something else to play after Penny's Big Breakaway, check out the demo. I think it's free on Steam for Rolling Rascal. But regardless, with that and Penny's Big Breakaway, the future is looking bright for 3D platformers, at least in the indie space. We also have Pseudo Regalia, which is a game that came out last year. Super good. Recommend you check it out. It kind of reminds me of like a Metroidvania mixed with Mario 64. Super cool game. But anyway, I just want to make this video real quick because I think this game is super special, but I think it's also being slept on currently, especially with all the cool new games coming out. So for you 3D platformer fans, I just wanted to highlight this game and let you know not to skip it because it's actually one of the best 3D platformers I've ever played, albeit very different from my other favorite 3D platformers like Mario Sunshine or Sonic Frontiers, as the goal and design of the game is pretty different. It's not a collectathon or a single player racing game with some extra controls, but rather one of the first momentum linear level based 3D platformers. Check it out, subscribe to my channel if you'd like to hear me talk about video games more, and thank you for watching.